Hello and welcome to another Box's Car Fix, and today we're going to be fitting a parking sensor to this Ford Transit van. To start with, this is the actual, I suppose you call it monitor, readout, whatever you want to call it. This tells you the distance from the thing you're reversing towards. It comes with some sensors, which you can see here. And if you notice, if you look closely, you can see that they're actually angled. So later on, you've got to make sure that you get them the right way up. Otherwise, you'll be pointing them mostly down towards the pavement. Make it beep too much. This is the actual control unit. This is where everything plugs into. Also got the power line, power feed, some stickers, if you like, adhesive pads. So this is all out, and also you've got the cutting tool to install the sensors. So this is a Haynes manual diagram, wiring diagram. So we can see here that the reversing light is B. So we're going to have a look for that reversing light. This will just make it easier so we know what we're going to cut into. And so it's green and orange on the side we're going into, which is the right hand side of the vehicle, the off side of the vehicle. But if you're putting on the other side, it would be green and black. Remember, this is just a rough guide. So this is where the unit is going to sit, and it's got to run up along here behind the pillar fascia, behind the headliner, behind here, which is just a plastic capping that goes around the seat belt, and it's got to go past this bulkhead. So we don't want to drill through the bulkhead, I think. So I'm going to start by removing the screws here, and also the screws that are keeping the headliner in place. So just need a normal Phillips head screwdriver. Undo these. We're just going to release these in order so that we can pull the headliner away a bit. We don't want to pull this whole plastic cover of the seatbelt out. It's just a case of getting it away a bit. You also need to lower the seatbelt so it goes down, so it gives you a bit more wiggle room. I'm just going to use a magnet there to take out the screws, and as you can see, normal Phillips head. It's not a big deal. It's got to remove both of those, because what we're going to be doing is actually running the wire for the sensor all the way through behind the bulkhead. It's going to basically trace along where the wiring for the rear lights, etc., goes through. The only other alternative would be to drill through the bulkhead, which we don't want to do that. So these plastic screws that keeps the headliner in place, just put something behind. I've used a plastic fork here because I couldn't find my fascia remover tool, so and just wiggle those left and right, and that normally stops them breaking too much. The A-pillar, it actually has these little tabs to remove that fascia. If you can just get in behind, you can actually push on this tab here, and it will actually make it nice and easy for that fascia to come away. You don't have to yank it out. If you pull these down, it will basically just let it release easily. We're going to remove here the rubber waterproofing for the door, because the headliner is tucked slightly behind it, so we need to remove that. And we also need to remove these 3 screws for the sun visor, also to release the headliner down so we can get in properly. Okay, we'll use this. I'm going to use this piece of wire. This is what's going to push the wire through, and it's going to. So you can see here, you can see the wiring harness, and we're basically going to use this piece of wire to trace along this wiring harness and push into the back of the vehicle. And as you can see here now, I've used masking tape, and I've just taped on the end of the wire. And what we're going to do is push this through into the back of the vehicle. So you can see that's poked all the way through to the back of the vehicle, nice and easy. And then we just need to run this wire down the pillar there to the front, behind the fascia, get it all tucked away nice and neat, underneath the headliner. Now, when you're doing this, push the wire up so it goes along the top of the headliner near the original harness, and then you need to run it along here through the back of the van. Keep going along with some extra wires there, which is for lighting. Ignore that. And we're going to use this hole here to go down to the bottom of the vehicle, so you don't actually have to drill a hole in the Transit to get your wiring through. Now if you look carefully underneath on the offside, you can see in the middle of the picture there, sorry, the down left hand corner, you see like a little light. I'll turn the light off now, and you can still see the light peeking through. That is that hole I've just showed you, so you don't need to drill through the bottom of the vehicle. Okay, so to place the sensors, I'm just going to mark the middle of the door, so we know where to start, where the middle of the bloody bumper is basically. There's a bit of damage here. It's a pretty tough bumper. We're going to go through it anyway. I'm going to pop this back out a bit. I don't think it's going to cause any problems at all. But obviously it's not brilliant. So we're going to have a sensor going in here, which is approximately, I think, about 6 inches, 16 centimeters. We're also going to have one here, about 4 inches in, which is about 100 centimeters. Sorry, 10 centimeters or 100 mil. Another one there, obviously, and one more here. We're going to evenly space this out. So as you can see, there you go. My first mark is, yep, it's 100 mil. So that is from not the side of the vehicle, but from where the bumper, you can see the bumper joint is on the right hand side, and it's 30 mil down. Now from the center, you want to go, I think it's 160 mil. Either side of the center, obviously. 160 mil, and again 30 mil down. So that's from the curvature of the bumper. The reason being that the bumper curves lower down. Okay, so we're just going to start our hole by giving ourselves a little pilot so we don't slip all over the place. Now use the cutting tool provided. Just ease the drill in. Let it catch first, and then go in. You're going to spin it all over the bumper. Okay, once you've got your holes, you're going to deburr it a bit, clean it up a little bit. And what I've done now is I've actually labelled the sensors, because otherwise when you come to wire it up at the other end, you're not going to know which one's which. Obviously the shortest one will be the furthest one away, but you don't want to have to keep looking at it and going, okay, which one's which. So you just feed these through the bumper now. Feed these through to the back of the bumper, pull that wire through. Now remember that up. You've got to get this the right way up to make sure that the tilt is correct, the angle on the sensor is correct. So push these in. What I did later is I actually sprayed these holes with a little bit of silicone spray to make it easy to go in. I didn't spray it on the sensor, or I sprayed it on the hole. So you just push these in and then get an object here to push these little tabs down. They're like soft rubbery sort of tabs. Just push those down and ease it in, and then you'll have it in place like this. So that's nicely fitted, nice and flush. Alright, so now we've got all 4 there fitted. Which now I've got to run the wire. So behind the bumper, where you see parts of the frame, you need to run the wiring behind these bits of frame. So just get these through. Just basically feed them through, so it runs it along. It's quite good actually, because it keeps the wire in place as well. There's quite a reasonably large gap there. Right, so once you've got all these bits of wire, you're going to need, an unwound coat hanger. And what we're going to do is we're going to poke it up through that hole from underneath. I'm going to feed it through, and there we can see the coat hanger come through the other end. So this is basically going to be our guide to pull through our rope, which is going to pull through our wires. So pull the piece of wire up, so it will pull the rope up with it. I'm just going to quickly actually wrap the wires in some electrical tape to give it a bit of protection from rubbing, the weather, etc. So okay, so you connect up your piece of rope, I said, and you keep pulling that through. Keep pulling until you get your piece of rope through. once you've got your rope through, what you want to do is connect one of the heads, the plugs basically, for the wires. You connect it up with a bit of electrical tape, try and keep it like flush to the rope as you can. Tape this up, and what this is going to do is hold it in place so we can actually feed it through with this nylon rope. So what you do now is you pull up, remember to keep one end of the rope long so that you can pull it backwards and forth. You don't have to keep refeeding the rope with the wire. So you pull it, keep pulling, nice and gently, just work it up nice and easy. The hole is a reasonable size, so you're not going to damage anything here. Pull it up nice and easy, and then we have our wire now inside of the Transit without having, as I said, to drill through. And you don't want to make any holes in Transits because they're rusty enough anyway, so you don't need to make a hole. Okay, so we've got all 4 wires now through. And what I wanted to do originally was actually put the computer part in there, but unfortunately the wiring is not long enough, so it's going to have to live somewhere near the middle of the back door instead. As you can see that they just come up to about the middle of the door. So I'm going to use these holes here, and I'm going to feed the wires up through the back part of the pillar in order to conceal the wires as best as possible, because at the end of the day this is a work vehicle, so you can't have wires flopping all over the place. So we're just going to release the light now. This releases the back light, the rear light cluster. So you just unscrew this anti-clockwise and then pull your light off, and we can see the wires. See the wires. These are the wires we're going to have to tap into, splice into, in order to get power. So when the vehicle goes in reverse, bam, on comes the sensor. Okay, so you need to push in these tabs here. 2 of them there, and 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. And remember, we're looking for the green and orange wire. There is another way of working this out, which I'll show you in a minute. If you don't have this diagram, remember this diagram is only a guide. It's a Haynes manual, so it's only a guide. Your vehicle may differ from this. Okay, so we've got that green and orange wire here. Now, if you watch the green, look at the green and orange, you can actually trace it down if you like. If you follow it down from the top, so follow it down all the way down where it's running, and it's going down to the 3rd bulb. Okay, so that's the 3rd bulb down. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 3rd bulb. Then if you look at the lens and count the lens, 1, 2, 3 bulb. It's the reversing bulb. Okay, so you've worked it out that way. Here we have the ground. Okay, so we're just going to take off a bit of the electrical tape that is on the wiring, because I just want to splice into these wires, but I don't want to put it too close just in case you need to later on come make a repair, remove it, etc., etc. You need a bit of wire to work with. So we're just going to use these Scotch locks. Now, I'm not a fan of these things. Normally I prefer to solder things in, but due to the nature of what you're fitting, I think, you know, sometimes it's easier to be able to get this removed if you don't solder in. So it's up to you. You can solder these wires in, but I'm actually going to Scotch lock these in. So it's just a case of popping it on, pushing down the little metal tab, and then putting the cap over the top. And what I tend to do after that is, although I don't show it in this video, I put electrical tape round just to hold it in place. So it's just push these down nice and gently, clip, and you're immediately cut into the wire. And as I said, I've done it this way because, you know, in case you want to remove it. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of putting aftermarket things on vehicles, but in this case is the one video that I'm actually doing where this is being done, because it's useful for the person that owns the van, so that they can back up. As you can see, they already damaged their bumper. So we're just putting in the power feed now. So this is going to go into the orange and green wire. Same process as before. What I would do though is I'd make sure that it's pointing around, so the wires are pointing backwards on themselves, so they're not pointing towards the light cluster, because then that'll be stressing the Scotch lock. So point them away, the way they're going to head towards the vehicle, inside of the vehicle. Okay, so that's the that's tapped into the power really. So we just need to feed that in through into the vehicle, and you'll see a hole directly there where you can feed it straight through. Okay, so we've got it all wired up now. We're just going to test it out. This is where it's going to live. As you can see, the wire's not tied up, but we're just going to test it's all working. So here's the sensor. Vehicle is now backing up. I've placed a ladder behind the right hand side of the vehicle, so it's only going to sense on one side. You see it's giving us a 1.1 meter, so no immediate danger. Time to stop, 30 centimeters, 0.3 of a meter. Okay, so we're going to just check the ladder. So look, and well, it's a bit over, so you need to just bear that in mind. There's a good 4 or 5 centimeters there, but it's pretty good. Okay, so now we've actually got the wires all cleaned up. Now it's working. Clean the wires, so they're running through, coming out of the pillar, the hole. It's been just fed up in there. The shorter wire had to come lower because there was no choice. It wouldn't reach any further up. So we've run it there. And what we've done now is I've actually got this old toolbox, small toolbox, and I've fabricated it so that it's going to fit over the unit, because this is a work vehicle and there's no point leaving that there like it was, because the wires are just going to get knocked out, damaged, etc., and you just waste your time. So that's all screwed into place now. So it's working, the unit's protected and in place. It's pretty sturdy. Job's done. It's a pretty simple install. I think with these parking sensors, it's just a case of taking your time and getting it right so that things don't go wrong. Anyway, that's great. Thanks very much for watching another Boxes Car Fix. Cheers. Bye bye.